All right, we're talking about the 5 most common interview questions, and we're starting with number 1, the question you'll be asked at the beginning of every single job interview you do for the rest of your life, which is tell me about yourself. Now, what most people do here is they go through a chronological listing of all of their work experience, which is great, but I want to give you one tiny tweak that'll help make that so much better. So before you start into that chronological experience listing, I want you to start with one little phrase, which is the interesting thing about me is, and then from there, I want you to sort of frame up all that work experience. So you can tell your work experience all kinds of different ways. You can tell it as a story about your excellent leadership skills. You can tell it as a story about the technical excellence that you bring to the team. You could tell it as maybe a story about, really good customer service or, excellent attention to the product, whatever you really want, right? And this is going to be individual to you, but I want you to start with that framing statement. So the interesting thing about me is, and for somebody like me who was a mining engineer, the way I used to finish the sentence was, the interesting thing about me is that I'm the unusual type of engineer who doesn't just care about problems with rocks. I actually care about the people side of the business. So you can always count on me on any given mine site to be working really proactively with operations, geology, mining engineering, survey, kind of every single department to make mine plans that are going to be really achievable and really well accepted by the team. So with that one little branding statement that you've done there, you've now created a frame for all of the work experience that you're going to talk about after that point. And then every story that you tell, when you go, in my first job, I did this, you want to make sure that that story connects back up to that sort of branding statement that you made. So if I've told a story about how I'm really good at working interdepartmentally, I'm not going to talk about how in my first job I printed reports. I'm going to talk about how in my first job I worked with all the different departments to make sure they had the reporting they needed so that they could improve the performance in their department. And that's going to take your tell me about yourself from an interesting set of facts to something that makes you really, really hireable.